All right, so welcome back, New Life Tabernacle Sunday School, Star Wars sequel, second edition, whatever you want to call it. So I know last week I had such an awesome time doing Star Wars. I hope you had a great time. I'm hearing so much feedback about that lesson, about the videoing, about how cool the effects was, and just so much positivity. I want to point out one specific thing that was said to me. So I know of a family that was watching the broadcast, and during the broadcast, the little girl looked up at their dad and said, "Dad, I signed in to learn about Jesus, not learn about Star Wars." So as much as maybe she thought she was like criticizing, that is awesome. That is awesome, because as much as Brother Josh loves Star Wars, he loves learning about Jesus that much more. So you know who you are. I'm so glad you're watching. I'm so glad you're excited. However, you got to deal with Star Wars one more week, okay? But I promise you, it's going to be great, okay? So let's start with this. A little bit of Star Wars information, okay? Can I do that just one more time? Okay. So every single Star Wars has Star Wars and then a tagline. So Star Wars A New Hope, Star Wars Phantom Menace, Attack of the Clones, so on and so forth. So what we're going to call this edition of New Life Tabernacle Sunday School is Star Wars The Uprising, okay? The Uprising. So you'll know why I'm going to say that in here in just a minute. So we have been without service like we normally know it, traditionally, for weeks now, and it is killing me, okay? I love that we gather here every Sunday morning, okay? I love watching how many views there are and all the comments and the watch party and the dancing and the comments and the crafts that you guys are doing. But there is nothing like coming here together, okay? So we're now drawing a line in the sand. We're getting the green light, and we're going to be able to come once again to church together to worship the Lord, learn about Jesus. All this craziness that you see going on, you're going to be able to experience it right here. How about that? Is that cool? It is so cool. As cool as it is right here that you can see, okay? Star Wars right here. Okay, that's how cool it's going to be when you're here. Because this is just effects, okay? What this really looks like is just a green screen. It's not really that you're inside of anywhere. I'm standing in the church like I used to a couple weeks ago. It's just a play on the imagination. However, when you come in here on a Sunday morning, or you come into this place on a Sunday night or a Thursday night, you're walking into, yes, 851 South Center Avenue, New Stanton, PA, okay? In case you didn't know, come and visit us. However, you're walking into the presence of the Lord. And I can tell you firsthand, there is nothing like it, okay? So you think, oh, I would love to meet this person, and I would love to meet that person, and you would write that down in your diary or in your journal or send an email and say, oh my goodness, it was so cool. He shook my hand or she shook my hand. I'm never watching it again. When you come in here, you can leave and go, I was in the presence of the Lord. It's amazing. There's nothing like it. It is absolutely phenomenal. And I can tell you from one time, just come one time, and you'll want to come more and more and more. I promise you, okay? Moms, dads, listen to your kids, because I'm sure they're looking at you right now going, we got to check this place out. Come and do it, okay? Make that pact. Make that promise. Make it tonight. Make it today. It's going to be a great time. All right, moving on. Moving on to our lesson. Okay, so normally in the Bible, we talk about a lot of men, okay? We talk about Moses, and we talk about David and Daniel and Abraham and all of those men. In tonight's lesson, tonight's story, we're going to talk about a woman, okay? There's not very many women that are brought up in the Bible that are famous, but this woman, her name is Esther, okay? Now, for all you girls that want a love story, this is fantastic, okay? This is just for you. So one more little Star Wars side note, Princess Leia, okay? We're going to compare the two. Princess Leia, Esther. Now, let's begin our story. We're going to be in the land of Persia, okay? So we have a king of Persia. His name was King Xerxes. Again, doesn't that sound like a Star Wars name? If you don't know Star Wars by now, And I know some of you have started watching it, and you love it, I promise, okay? Check it out. Anyway, moving on. King Xerxes, the heroine is Queen Esther, okay? There's a villain, his name is Haman, and then there's a really cool guy, which is Esther's uncle. His name is Mordecai. Again, does that not sound like a Star Wars name? Okay, anyway, moving on. So you have Mordecai and Esther. They were Jews. Mordecai was Esther's uncle, okay? So Haman hated the Jews, all through history. You could look back, the Jews were hated all along, and they wanted to be squashed. The whole world population wanted them squashed because that was a trick of the enemy. Still today, there's people that still hate the Jews. They shouldn't. It's God's chosen people, but it's still a fact, okay? So Haman goes to the king and says, listen, king, we're going to have this grand parade. I'm one of your most trusted advisors, okay? You trust everything that I say. Put this trust in me. We're going to have this big parade. It's going to be awesome, okay? And everybody in the town is going to bow down. Now, doesn't that sound a whole lot like last week's lesson, okay? Bow down and worship me. It was King Nebuchadnezzar then. Bow down and worship me. When we know, and you know by now, there's only one person that you bow down and worship, and that's Jesus Christ, right? Okay, so the king kind of goes along with the plan, okay? He was married once. He got rid of that wife. They had a great big beauty pageant. Enter Queen Esther, okay? She was beautiful, but she kept her identity a secret, okay? It was all in God's plan. Now, I'm sure that if she looked fast forward in her life at what she thought, how her life was going to end up, it was not going to be anything like this. She never thought she'd be queen. She never thought she'd be called on the spot to save her people. But the Lord knew. The Lord knew. When she was born, he had an expected end for her. She had a destiny to fulfill, okay? Does that sound like a great Star Wars episode? Oh my goodness, so stinking cool, right? Okay, so Haman goes to the king, says, "Oh king, gonna have this great big parade." Again, his enemy, which was Mordecai. The only reason that Mordecai was his enemy is because he was a Jew. And he knew not to do anything that would displease God. And if he bowed down to him, it would be displeasing to the Lord. So Haman went back to the king and said, Mordecai this and that and the other, and tricked the king into signing a decree that was going to kill the Jews. So Esther, now being the queen, okay, there was a beauty pageant. Read the story. It's 10 chapters, the book of Esther, and I'm giving you just a glance, a great big overview of a story, but it's so stinking cool. You'll love it, I promise, okay? So Mordecai says, I'm not bowing. He talks with Esther. She says, I've got to go talk to the king. Now, you've got to understand, this is the whole premise of the story. Even though Esther was the queen, okay? Now, you would think the king and the queen, they're kind of equal. That wasn't the case, okay? Even though Esther was the queen, she could not just come into the palace and talk to the king. It was forbidden. It could have cost her her life, okay? But she realized, listen, I've got a job to do, and I have got to go talk to the king, not as my husband, but as the king, and say, listen, what this dude, Haman, what he's trying to do is going to get us in a world of trouble. And if you kill my people, you're killing me. So she goes into the palace, throws the doors wide open, and one of the most profound and familiar verses is, if I perish, but I'm going to see the king. She walked in halfway through the palace and stood there. The only way that she was allowed to come any further is if the king put his scepter down, basically saying, you're allowed now. Now remember, there was no forewarning, there was no invitation. She just busted in there. And sure enough, he extended his scepter. She was allowed to come up, talk to him. And the exact trap that Haman tried to set for Mordecai and all the Jews is exactly how his end was, okay? It's a little gruesome. You can read it, okay? Now, think about your life. Think about, if you're older, you look back and say, well, when I was in high school, I thought I would be doing this. And when I went to college, I thought I was going to do this way. And then you look at the life you have now. Is it anything like you thought it would be? Anything at all? Probably not, okay? I definitely didn't turn out the way that I thought I was going to be. We won't even go there. You don't want to know what I've been through, okay? That's more than a novel. That's a comic book. Anyway, if you're young and you're looking at, well, when I graduate high school, I want to do this and that and the other. The Lord has a plan for you, and it's most important that you pray, okay? You pray and you talk to the Lord. Lord, I want to do what is pleasing to you. And then here's another thing to do. Esther went to her uncle, okay? Her parents were gone, but she trusted her uncle. Her uncle raised her and knew the ways of the Lord. He wasn't just some relative, okay? So she went and said, what do you think I should do? Here is what I think should happen. Here is the way that I think I should do things. But she went to someone that's been around a while, okay? So if your parents, trust them. Listen to what they're telling you to do. If they're coming to church and they're praying and they're listening to the Lord, they are not going to steer you wrong, okay? Maybe you don't have that person in your life as far as living with you in your house. Go to your Sunday school teacher. Go to your youth leader. Go to your pastor. Listen, this is exactly what I think. Here's the situation. What do you think? And if they're any person that trusts the Lord at all, more than likely what they're going to do first is say, I'll pray with you. Let's pray about it. Not make any kind of rash decisions. Let's pray and seek the Lord. And I can tell you that once you come back together and say, what do you think of the situation now? More than likely, if you both have an open mind and you're honestly seeking the Lord's will, it's more than likely going to be the same exact thing, because that's just how God works. Our scripture tonight is found in Philippians 4 and 6. Be careful for nothing, but in everything. Let me get it here. Be careful for nothing, but in everything, by prayer and supplication, with thanksgiving, let your request be made known unto God. Be careful for nothing. Don't worry, okay? We have been talking the past couple weeks about what's going on around us. Listen, it's starting to lighten up. It's starting to ease up. Don't worry. God's got it under control. I was scared. I was frustrated. I got mad, okay? And now I'm just ready for it to be over, okay? I'm sure you are too. I want to get out of the house. For crying out loud, I want to go to a restaurant and order dessert. You know what I mean? I want to go to a park and play. I want to just be able to do. Basically, I want to do what I want to do. I want my freedom back, okay? I'm sure you're the same way. So be careful for nothing, but in everything that happens, everything that you do, everything you say, everywhere you go, make sure you pray and you give thanksgiving and you make your request known unto God, because he cares for you. He does. It's proven time and time again. There's no better friend than the God that we have. I can promise you that. Anybody that goes to church, they've got stories. Anybody that's had any kind of life experience at all, they've got stories to tell you. Listen, I wouldn't be here except for the Lord. I wouldn't be where I am today or who I am today. But the Lord stepped in and just changed everything around, because that is how cool God is. It's amazing. He is absolutely phenomenal. So here are 6 takeaways that I want you to take away from this story tonight. 1, believe in your hidden power. Now that doesn't mean you got like lasers to be able to shoot out your eyes or anything like that. But Esther's name literally means hidden. Okay, there was something hidden inside of her. She had a potential and a destiny to fulfill, because God had a calling on her life, and he's got a calling on your life. Just goes along with number 2, embrace your destiny. It might scare you. You know, if the Lord has big plans for you, he wants you to be a preacher. He wants you to be a missionary. He wants you to be up with the praise team. He wants you to be an altar worker. You know, those kind of things that are up in front of people, those are scary things, okay? And I can tell you firsthand, it's really scary. But if you trust in the Lord and you embrace that, the Lord will give you confidence, I can promise you, like you've never, ever known. Number 3, let your inner beauty shine. Okay? Did you ever hear the phrase, don't judge a book by its cover? Listen, I don't care what you look like on the outside, and we're going to talk about some of those people a little later on, like David, just a small, scrawny boy, but he was able to kill a giant. Well, I'm getting way ahead of myself. That's next week's lesson, by the way. All right. We are stronger together. Now, I don't want to be home anymore. I'm sure you don't want to be out of school anymore. You want to be with your friends. I want to be with my brothers and sisters at church, because as a unit, we are stronger together. We cannot, listen to me, New Life Tabernacle, if adults are listening too, we cannot get comfortable being at home on Sunday morning in our PJs watching Brother Smith on Facebook, okay? It was cool while it lasted. It was a great means of like the word getting to you, okay? But don't get comfortable with that, because nothing can replace coming together, locking arm in arm, okay? I know you got to social distance and watch how close you are, but spiritually speaking, with your brothers and sisters saying, we got this. We're going to fight this battle together, okay? No man is an island. Number 5, take the lead in action. Stand up. Be a warrior. Say, listen, I'm different than everybody else, and I'm proud of that. Stand up and let be noticed. Number 6, prepare to make bold sacrifices. Like I said, Esther could have been killed. Literally. Like that was the sentence. Nobody came into the throne room unless they were pardoned. And she thought, it doesn't matter. The cause is worth it. What I'm standing up for is worth it. Think about that. Think about some things that you're passionate about. Is it worth it? Is it? And is it really worth it? Because when it comes down to tooth and nail and the rubber hits the road, are you going to stand up or are you going to cower down? We'll find that out in a few weeks whenever church is opened up. Are we going to be comfortable or are we going to come out here? You need to be here. New Life Tabernacle Saints, I'm talking to everybody, if I can. Old, young, in between, you need to be here. I'm going to say it again. Don't get comfortable, because I'm expecting an explosion. The Lord is going to be here, and it's going to be fantastic. We've been waiting for this. We've been praying for this. We've been talking about it. And now the Lord's saying it's harvest time. It's revival time. It's exciting time. All right, so today, moving on, today is Mother's Day, right? Now, how many of you fathers and husbands forgot? So, what we're going to do is we're going to put a supply list up here in just a second, okay? And let you go to your kitchens and get a few ingredients, because we're going to make a dessert for you moms, okay? It's going to be super cool. Now, kids, this is your chance to do some cooking. Here's what's really cool. No heat, no stove, no microwave, no freezing, nothing like that. It's all just using these 2 things. Okay, so we're going to put it up, give you a few seconds, go get your supplies, and come right back here, and we're going to make chocolate truffles, chocolate fudge, whatever you want to call it. You can do it 2 different ways, but it's going to be super cool. Parents, if you're available, you can help your kids out, and moms, you're going to enjoy some dessert today, I can promise. All right, so welcome back. So we got our supplies, and we're getting ready to cook up some Fudge for our mamas. Okay, so our verse that we're going to use that kind of goes along with this is going to be Romans 8:28. And we know all things work together for good to them that love God, who are the called according to his purpose. So when we did this at Children's Church on a Thursday night, however many months ago, we pulled out all the ingredients, and then if you remember, we had the kids go through and taste each ingredient by itself. Now, some of the ingredients were very good, like the powdered sugar. Some of them, like the stick of butter without anything else, was not so good. Or the chocolate. Now, some of you kids remember that they were going, oh, I love chocolate, and wanted a big old mouthful of it. And you learned real quick how gross this is when it's not cooked in anything or mixed with anything. So just like a recipe calls for different ingredients and different amounts of each ingredient, this verse says all things work together. The good, the bad, the laugh, the pain, the I don't understand why this is happening. I'm so glad this happened. All those things work for the good for you. I promise you that. So, okay, moving on. So you saw whenever we put it up on the board what you're going to need. So you need some vanilla, you need cocoa, you need powdered sugar, which we've got a bag of it right here, okay, a stick of butter, and a half a block of cream cheese, okay? So you'll need some utensils to use. So you need a 1-cup measuring cup, okay? Powdered sugar, here's a little cooking lesson for you. Powdered sugar shouldn't be packed like brown sugar. So just scoop it out and kind of shake it around. You need 2 of those, 2 1-cups. We've already got that measured out in our bowl, okay? You need 2/3 cup of cocoa, okay? Now, most measuring cups won't come in a 2/3. They have a 1/3. So 1/3 and 1/3 is 2/3, okay? We've already got that measured out. That's in our bowl also. 1 stick of butter is a half a cup. And then 1 teaspoon, you'll need your measuring spoons, not your measuring cups, 1 teaspoon of vanilla. Now, the way to tell the difference, this is a tablespoon, it's really big. This is a teaspoon, okay? If it doesn't say teaspoon, it'll be a lowercase t, unlike a tablespoon, which is a capital T, okay? You'll need to learn that. All right, moving on. So, one other thing that you need is a Ziploc bag. So you're going to take your whole stick of butter, don't melt it, just throw it in there. Your half a block of cream cheese and 1 teaspoon of vanilla. You're going to put them all in your Ziploc bag and you're going to smush them all together. So for time's sake, I have already done that. So go ahead, cream cheese, butter, vanilla. Once you mush them all, it's going to look like this, okay? Kind of gross. Don't taste it because I can promise you it's not going to taste very good right now. It may look like icing. It may look a little appetizing. It is not going to be good, okay? You're halfway through the process. So let me stop there and talk a little bit more Bible with you. You're halfway through. You still need the other stuff. You've already got the rough stuff in there right now, okay? You've already been through the hurt and the agony, whatever. Now the Lord's coming on the flip side going, let me give you a little bit of joy. Let me give you a little bit of peace. Makes sense, right? It's all part of the recipe. Okay, so once you got that mush together, you're going to open it back up. If you could see what I'm seeing, it looks pretty gross, okay? You're going to take half of your cocoa, put it in your bag. Then you can take half your powdered sugar and put it in your bag. You can use a spoon. You can use a cup. You can use your finger like I am. Put it down in there. Shake that down in. Put some more. All right. All right, kids. Crazy time, right? Do the same thing. You're going to mush it all around. Now, you can see all the brown, all the yellow looks kind of gross in there. You're going to keep mushing, keep mushing. You got to get it all mixed up. None of it makes sense, right? Doesn't really think it should go together. But now it's looking a little better. You can see all the chocolate, right? Who doesn't like chocolate? Open it up again. The rest of the powdered sugar. Shake that down in there. The rest of the cocoa. Don't leave any air in there. Close it all up, and you're really going to shake it now. Make sure, okay, side note, make sure it's sealed. If it doesn't, it's going to, just like I didn't, it's going to be everywhere. Follow the instructions. When it's all mixed, it's going to be all crazy, okay? Mix it up, mix it up, mix it up. All right. Now mine isn't so mixed. For time's sake, we're just going to keep on moving from there. You shouldn't see any white, any yellow. It should be all brown. What you're going to do from there now is open it up, okay? You can use a big spoon, a spatula, whatever. Put it on a paper plate and put it in the refrigerator. Smooth it all out. After about an hour, it'll be hardened like fudge. You can cut it down into squares, or after about an hour, you can take a spoon and roll it into small balls and roll it in powdered sugar or roll it in nuts, and it could be truffles. But I can promise you that you're going to have some great tasting fudge for Mother's Day. Dads, you owe me, okay? You owe me big. If you forgot, there it is. All right, I hope you enjoyed this week's lesson. So long for Star Wars for another year, but I can guarantee you this time next year on Star Wars Day, we'll be doing this all over again. But we cannot end this week's segment without a dance-off, right? Okay, so Darth Vader will be back, and we're going to sing one more VBS song. And moms, happy Mother's Day.